far as that goes. Hopefully Leslie pops in. If not, Donnie and I will pick up the slack and we'll make sure that we get everything covered. Going to share my screen here real quick and then we'll get started with everything as far as that goes. All right. Everybody, you see my screen okay, Dana? Donnie?
Yeah, I can see everything.
Okay, cool. Thanks for everybody for joining us. My name is John Morris. I'm the Regional Tech Director for the Maryland, D.C. region. And today we have Donnie Brookman from the North Florida region, who's amazing. Hopefully Leslie will have a chance to jump on. She's supposed to join us as well too. She's the Regional Tech Trainer for the Colorado region. So before we get started, I just want to kind of do some introductions here. Again, I introduced myself. Donnie, why don't you take a minute to let everybody know a little bit about you and where you're from. I know that all the North Florida people love you and know you, but maybe not everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. John, thank you so much for help setting this up and part of the Regional Technology Trainer Training Series. I'm excited to be here. My name is Donnie Brookman. I'm the Director of Technology here in the North Florida region. So I have the privilege of serving 38 market centers strong here in the North Florida. Excited to talk to you guys about lead routing and be here. I've been with Keller Williams I'll be celebrating 7 years in a few weeks, actually, my 7th year anniversary. Sat in many seats on the bus. I am a licensed agent here in Florida and operating on a team called the Wolf Group out of our Orlando Lake Nona Market Center. So I'm excited to share some knowledge with you guys today and also learn.
Awesome. Good stuff. And that's the great thing about teaching things is, you know, you think that you're the teacher, but you end up learning more by teaching than anything else. So that's awesome. By any chance, did Leslie pop on yet? I don't want to move forward if we, okay, so if she pops in, we'll let her, she probably got caught up on a little bit longer of an appointment, so no worries. All right, so just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the course objectives before we move on. Basically what we're going to do here is we're going to learn how to leverage lead routing so that we ensure that leads are responded to quickly, because we all know that if leads aren't responded to quickly, we have less of a chance at getting those people to convert. This is going to assist teams in increasing their conversion rates and most importantly, winning more business, because after all, why do anything if we're not going to have the ability to build our business out bigger and better? So some things to expect in the session today. We talked a little bit about the introduction, so we're going to introduce a little bit about the concepts that we're talking about here. Donnie is going to walk us through setting up a lead route. Again, hopefully Leslie pops on. She was going to talk to us a little bit about running some really awesome Facebook ads that converted a high level. And then we're going to talk, you know, so you've set up the route, you've ran the Facebook ad, and now what do you do when those leads start pouring in? So we're going to show you guys how your team members can claim leads, because there's a couple different ways that they can go in there and that they can claim the leads. And if they don't claim the leads, what happens to those? So we'll describe those as well too. And then we can't have a class that's sponsored by Keller Williams without having some ahas. So we'll end out the session with ahas. Now, a couple ground rules before we get everything set up. This is a webinar series, so you don't really have the chance to voice things so much. So what we're going to ask you guys to do is to make sure that you utilize that chat box. If Donnie's teaching, I'll be monitoring the chat box to answer some questions or to let Donnie know, hey, can you answer this question? He'll do the same thing while I'm going over my part as well too. And so feel free to use the chat box, ask the questions. The only thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is make sure that the questions are relevant to the topic that we're talking about, because today we're talking about lead routing. We want you guys to get a lot of benefit and value out of how to do lead routing, how to set this stuff up. So if you're going to ask us a question about, say, designs, right? We might not get a chance to answer those questions today. At the end, if we have time, we'll answer all the questions that you have. If we don't get to a question that's not related to the topic, we'll make sure to let us know, and we'll reach out to you, to the people that are in our region, to cover those particular questions at a later time if we don't have a chance to get to those today. Anything you want to add to that, Donnie?
I think that was great. Yeah, we'll be able to monitor that chat box, keeping things on topic, and seeing how we can help automate some of this lead routing strategies specific to a Facebook leads.
Cool. Awesome. So let's jump into it. So introduction, we went through our introductions already as far as that goes, but to introduce really some of the concepts here in terms of our technology, just kind of want to go over this slide. I like to start a lot of my classes off with this slide. And the reason is that when we take technology classes a lot, sometimes our people really feel like, hey, it's two separate things. We got technology and then we got our real estate business. And that's not what Command was designed to really do. It's not meant to be a standalone kind of class. It's not meant to be a standalone, kind of thing that you, hey, I got to learn my real estate and I need to learn my technology. Command was built by agents for agents. We have, as agents here at Keller Williams, have had input since day one into how the system looks and feels and works. And Command really is just the tool to help us run an MREA model. So if you look at kind of the lead gen model that's on the left-hand side of the screen, that's what we've been taught for, a ton of years. On the right side of the screen, you can see where basically the tools inside of Command really plug in to helping us run that model. So I just want to kind of set the mindset up for you guys that, again, Command is really, it was entirely built with the MREA in mind. And it's simply there as if you're using the tools, you're basically, without you realizing it, if you're using the tools of Command, you're running an MREA-based business, which is really the goal, I think, of anybody that joins Keller Williams, is to follow the model as closely as possible, because if you do, you have time and money, which is super important. So we're going to really talk now about lead routing for teams. And so I'm going to turn it over to Donnie. Donnie is going to show you guys how you guys can set up a lead route. So whenever you feel like taking the screen over, Donnie, go ahead and share your screen.
Absolutely, yeah. And just to piggyback off of that, building everything in mind with the MREA, it's also great to be able to say, in addition to it being built to match the millionaire real estate agent, those models, it's also built for exactly what we're looking to do. And one of the coolest things about Command right now is I know we're seeing a lot of success with our Facebook leads. And I think I just switched to the screen. Are you guys seeing Command now?
100%.
Awesome. So one of the cool things is we're seeing a lot of great success with adding in Facebook ads. And one of the cool things that we have the capability of doing inside of Command for my team specifically, you have a way to automatically route those leads based on 3 different strategies. So you can really get in depth with these. And we're going to start off with a little bit of the basics, just creating a lead route from the start. So before we go and actually start creating a lead route here, I want to just give a reminder that this specific component of settings is only going to be available to the team's Rainmaker. So you will need to have the Rainmaker role to complete this activity. If you do, then you can follow along with me and we can start creating our first lead route. So I'm going to click on my name in the upper right-hand corner and we're going to go into our settings. And as settings loads at the top, there's one other thing that you're going to want to make sure that you have, that your team name is selected right here in this dropdown. Occasionally it might get cleared out and say select a team. You'll want to have your team name selected. And if your team name's selected and you're the Rainmaker of the team, over the far left, if you click on Command Settings, the very last option underneath Command Settings is going to be lead routing. And to get started with creating a route, we're actually going to click right here as routes. So I have a few routes that are already active here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this one and I'm going to create a route from scratch. To get started with this, I'm going to click on the Create Route button in the upper right-hand corner. So again, we're automating lead distribution to the member agents of our team. This is going to happen in 3 different steps. The first is deciding what are the strategies behind creating this route. For today's example, at the top, I'm going to go ahead and title this route RTT training. We're going to go through. The next thing you're going to need to choose as far as your strategy goes is what is the routing rule that you'd like to use. Now, here within Command, we currently have 3 routing rules that you can use. The first one's going to be random, or I've often heard this referred to back as a round robin strategy, meaning you're going to give every agent on the team equal chance to getting the lead. And no agent on the team will receive a lead twice in a row. So it's always going to keep going around to all of the agents that you have within this lead route specifically, distributing evenly. Number 2, a second strategy is going to be a weighted random, meaning you might have a rules maybe within your team agreement that you have member agents on your team that have been with the team for a certain amount of time, maybe a legacy agent status, where you might want to weight a little more heavily at times to distribute leads. So you can decide ensuring some agents are going to get more leads than others on your team if that's a strategy that you have. The last one's going to be first come, first serve, or this was also called at times jump ball strategy, meaning everyone's going to have an equal chance. It's the first one to come in and actually claim that lead as soon as it hits the lead routing system. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and also point out just to the right, you don't have to remember all of these strategies and the definitions. If you hover your cursor over that little I to the right of each name, you're going to be able to see a definition of that specific route. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and choose random, and we're actually going to come back and look at weighted, because when you assign the level of weight, it's going to happen at the second step, or sorry, the third step of the process. So we've given our route a title. We've now decided that we're going to do this randomly. So we're going to distribute our leads evenly amongst all of the agents. The next thing you're going to do is set a route schedule. Now, this is where some strategies can come into play. Are you setting a schedule for a weekday? Maybe a weekend schedule. This is all related back to our Facebook lead ads. So for right now, this first one where you can select a day, you can click the drop down. It's going to default to having all 7 days of the week selected. If you'd like to go ahead and uncheck some of these strategies or some of these days, you can uncheck, and then you'll see updated here. You have 2 out of the 7 days selected, and you'll be able to confirm with the check marks to the left of each day of the week. To the right, you'll also be able to choose whether you want this to be for all times of the day, or maybe you have custom times. A lot of teams have lead shifts. Maybe they have a morning shift, an afternoon, and an evening shift to distribute leads. This could be a way for you to automate that process, ensuring that each person gets the leads assigned to them during that specific lead shift. If you do want to switch to custom here, you're going to see some additional options appear here, those conditional details, choosing a from time. Maybe you have a 8 a.m. shift to 11:30 a.m., being that morning shift for leads. And you can set the time zone just to the right of that to make sure it's always going to stay in the time zone you're currently in. The last thing that you're going to need to do for a lead routing strategy is we always want to make sure that we're responding to leads as fast as possible. Meaning if somebody's not available and responding right away, you as the rainmaker to decide what is our claim action deadline. So a minimum of 30 seconds. However, I'm going to change this to 30 minutes, meaning it's going to evenly distribute the leads to all of the agents on the team. However, each agent is only going to have a 30-minute deadline to claim before it moves to the next. So that way, me as a rainmaker, I know that the money I'm investing in these leads, they're going to be serviced by a customer, by an agent on our team, and be able to reach out at least within 30 minutes and continue to distribute. As soon as you set that claim action deadline at the bottom of the screen, I'm going to go ahead and hit the next button to move to the second portion, which is selecting our lead source. As I type in here, we are working on cleaning up this lead source list, removing some duplicates. This is a little important piece. We're talking about Facebook ad leads. I think Leslie's going to be joining us hopefully in a few minutes, and we'll be able to go through and create a rockin' Facebook ad to generate a lot of leads. The way that you're going to want to select leads that are generated from a Facebook ad campaign, a social ad created inside of Command, is this Facebook ad lead option. That's the lead source that you'd like to use for the leads coming from a Facebook social ad built in Command. I'm going to click next at the bottom, and the last strategy that you're going to choose here is what agents on your team are going to be part of this lead route. So I can go through and select all of the agents that I'd like to be included. So I've selected 4 out of the 6. One important thing to keep in mind here is that this list is going to include everyone on your team roster. So we'll also include any director of operations, any administratives, and the guest accounts that you might have created, like I have a secondary admin account created here for myself. As soon as you've decided what agents you'd like to be a part of that lead, the strategy, you can press the save button at the bottom, and it's going to automatically save that lead route to your routing strategy and in an active status and move it to the top of the page here. Now, why is that important? When you're looking at how I have 4 routes selected here. So I have a route selected for our weekend leads, a route selected for evening hours, so after hours, and then I have what I call a catch-all for the weekday. Every single weekday, if a lead doesn't make it and is assigned to an agent on the team out of routes 1, 2, and 3, it will always follow this. The last lead route here. Any leads that make it through this entire routing system that are not claimed go into the lead pool. And I think John's going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of our training.
Yep.
I wanted to highlight this though, because a strategy around having multiple routes active at the same time is you're going to want to order them in priority, meaning it's recommended that you're going to have what I would call those catch-all leads. So maybe a majority of the agents are involved. It's a random distribution. You're going to want to have those at the bottom to be able to catch all of the leads to make sure that they can get assigned. Any of those unique leads that might be for specific shifts, maybe there's specific times of the week, specific days, or specific agents on your team, you're going to want to move those to the top. Because as a new lead comes into the system, I want you to imagine that it's going to go down. It's going to stop here at this RTT2 training lead route. Is it a Saturday or a Sunday? Because that's the time that we have chosen for it. Is it between 8 a.m. and 11:30 p.m.? It doesn't match those rules. So the lead route, or the lead that just came in from our Facebook ad, hypothetically, is actually going to skip that and see if it can match anything in our secondary lead route in line. It's not a Saturday or a Sunday, meaning that lead's going to continue to go through. It's making it to our third route, which is on all days, so we're applying to that. However, this lead is only going to be distributed in this specific routing strategy between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight. So that means that the lead that just came into our system went through all 3 of the lead routes, ending with our catch-all at all times, Monday through Friday, and it's going to be randomly distributed amongst 4 out of the 6 agents on our team at the bottom here. When you want to reorganize these strategies and prioritize them, so you want to move them up so that you can have, if I click and hold, I can drag and drop this lead route here to the top. If this one was at the top and we had a new lead that came into our system today, we generated a new lead, it would have stopped here and been routed to an agent. And the only way that it would have continued to go down is if all 4 of this agents selected did not claim the lead, and it will continue to go through the rest of the process. So you want to be able to create multiple routes to match your strategies, click and hold to drag and drop, keeping those catch-all leads at the bottom and your more unique lead route strategies towards the top. Last 2 things that are going to be on this screen. You have active and paused routes. So you might have some strategies that are specific to a holiday, or I know some teams have strategies where they have lead days. So you might have an agent who, that's their lead day this weekend. Saturday's Donnie's lead day. You can have those created and have them paused and turn them on and off as needed. So if I click right here on my pause tab, here are all of the leads strategies that I have that are not currently active. But let's just pretend Lauren's an agent on our team. Let's pretend that today's Lauren's lead day. I could log in the morning, turn that lead strategy on, go back to my active status. And because Lauren's lead day strategy is at the very top, I only have Lauren selected as the agent all days. That means all leads are going to start with Lauren until they're not claimed within that time period, that deadline, which is 30 minutes for us, and before it goes down to any of the rest of the lead strategies. Last thing that we're going to look at here before we go ahead and lead away from lead routing is to the far right of each lead, whether your route is active or inactive. So if I just click on this toggle, it's going to send it back to my paused lead routing. Whether your route is active or paused, to the far right, you're going to see these 3 dots that you can click. And this is how you can go back through and either edit or duplicate a lead route. So that way you can spend time on task. You create a lead route and maybe you want to replicate it for all of the member agents on your team, like the Lauren lead day. I could go through here and click those 3 dots and duplicate, or I can go into the edit section and edit all 3 of those items, whether it's my strategy, my lead source, or the agents that are involved with the route. Last important thing to note here, if you wanted to delete a lead route, this is the only time that the status of the route is going to come into play. If it's in an active status, you won't be able to delete that route. You'll have the option to edit or to duplicate. However, if you turn a lead route off, like I turn this one here, and you go into paused, to the far right, you're going to see those 3 dots end up with a 3rd option here for you to delete a lead route that you no longer want in your system. I can choose those 3 dots, choose delete. There will be a confirmation message for you to choose, yes, I'm sure that I want to delete this route. And now you can go back to your active and see the rest. So it looks like we just had a question come through before we keep moving forward. Brad just asked, can this be used for Market Center leadership to distribute Facebook leads from ads run by the Market Centers to agents opting in to an upcall program is what they're calling it. So Brad's one of our Market Center tech trainers out in the Jacksonville area. So thanks for sending that question in, Brad. The lead routing strategy right now, this feature is only going to be for agents that are a member of a team, meaning that they've opted in to join a team within the team administration tool. So as long as agents are a member of that organization, they'll be able to route leads. They won't be able to use this as a Market Center necessarily at this time to route any leads that are not involved on an official team in our team administration tool. Great question.
Cool.
And I love that idea. Definitely something we should take to ideas.kw.com to continue to develop on.
Awesome. Yeah, there was one more question that came in before we jump into the next segment here, Donnie. It says, will you discuss if and when leads from outside sources, for example, Realtor.com, Zillow, et cetera, are going to be able to route into command so I can save more money and get rid of follow-up bots?
Absolutely. Rick Brown out from Waterford Lakes. Thanks for being here today. Absolutely. So we are working on getting more lead sources. So we're going through a project right now to clean up that lead strategy. The when is always a hard question for us to answer, but I know that you're excited to be able to get rid of that follow-up boss and help save some money for your team and organization, and you have some additional lead sources. That's always going to be going back to ideas.kw.com, helping to vote for what that helping to vote for the ideas that are most important to us. It is definitely on the roadmap. I just don't have a win for you right now. And I know that we're currently, John and I are where we're cleaning up that lead source list and kind of setting the stage to be able to pipe in more automated lead routing strategies so that you can leverage these routes a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah. And then I know that one of the big things that they're looking at doing somewhere right before or probably at Mega Camp is there's going to be a lot more team functionality that's going to be coming your guys' way, which I would imagine that is going to affect some of this stuff as well too. And
Absolutely.
We'll be sure, Donnie and Leslie and I will be sure to get all the information out to you guys as it comes out, because I know that we like to keep our people informed. So awesome. Well, thank you for that, Donnie. And next we're going to, let me grab the screen here again real quick. So we did a great job with creating a lead route. Donnie showed you how to get that set up. So next what we're gonna hop into, Leslie joined us before we get into setting up our rockin' Facebook ad that crushes it with conversion, because I know Leslie does an amazing job with that. Leslie, you didn't get a chance to kind of introduce yourself to everybody, so if you could just take a minute before we jump into this to let everybody know that isn't familiar with you, how amazing you are.
Oh, thanks guys, and sorry for being a little late today, but my name is Leslie Jackson and I'm the RTT here for Colorado. Super excited to be here. We're all in different time zones, so sorry about that. But yeah, I love campaigns and I've seen a lot of success with campaigns, and I'm going to give you guys a special recipe today. So super excited about it. And I've been with Keller Williams for about 6 years, going on 7, I believe, but fell in love with our tech as soon as Command came out, and I was like, sign me up. I want to teach this. I want to be a part of this vision. So super honored to be here with you guys. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Leslie, screen is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, sir. All right, you guys, I highly suggest to take lots of notes. I'm going to give you my recipe of success to campaigns. I'm not going to just walk you through how to put information in. I'm going to tell you today what actually works. You guys ready? Let's do this. So I'm going to head to the campaign applet over here on the left-hand side. It's going to bring me to my beautiful dashboard. Now, I just want to pause here and do a little shout out to all your campaigns that will be running. It's going to show you your top performing campaign in this section, which I love. And it's going to give you some really easy tips and training down below for anything else that you may need. So I just want to shout out there, but let's get right into it. I'm going to click create a new campaign. And today we're just going to discuss Facebook. So I'm going to click on social ad. I'm going to pull this address in, and I'm going to also tell you that advertise listing, attract listings, and attract buyers. Those three work beautifully when you would like to capture leads. I'm focusing on just one social channel, which is Facebook today. And then I'm going to click set up campaign. I'm going to actually select attract buyers first and then set up campaign. What I've seen, you guys, is leads that are really inexpensive and a lot of leads coming in with just one channel at a time. If you do Facebook and Instagram, you're definitely going to get great results. If the lead cost me just be a little bit higher, but I'm telling you, it's only like $1 higher. So that's what I've seen in the past, but let's focus on the present. So here, I love this because we are totally connected to the MLS. So any of your listings that are active, you could pull right in. So I'm going to click add a listing, and I'm going to click on this drop down over here on the right-hand side, all listings. Go and search for the address that I'd like to pull in. So pretty simple, and then simply click select. So this is going to be just a listing that, you know, I was given permission to borrow, and I'm just going to use it for this demonstration. Now, I like to just say, keep it simple and keep it powerful. The description doesn't need to be a novel, and it limits you anyway. But as you can see over on the right-hand side, it pulls a listing up for me right away. It pulls in all of the information that I had, or the agent had in the MLS, so your description of your home. And so let's get right into it. Let's talk about what is successful with campaigns. Where it says main copy, I would like for you to use some capital letters and just take some of the description out so that we could be really purposeful with something that's going to be eye-catching. So I always say just listed, and always use emojis. Love them or not like them. Some agents are like, I don't want to use emojis in my description, but I'm telling you, they really do work. Excuse me. So I like the use of just being able to search, and I like to be able to use something that's going to be, again, eye-catching. Okay, so usually do a little bit of fire next to each side. And this right here, just listed with the emojis, has shown and proven that it really does stop somebody's thumb from scrolling. All right, so next is really looking at the description of the MLS and the home that we have right now. I would say it's pretty good. I definitely think that showcasing that it is in a certain community is very smart. Definitely don't add the address in your description, because guess what, you guys, they can just go copy and paste that address and go search it somewhere else. We're looking for clickbait, right? So what I'm giving you today is very specific on helping you capture leads. In your headline, I like to say home for sale, so super simple, in Songbird, I believe it's Parker, Colorado. Could be totally off in the city, but add the community and add the city of where it's located. Next, in description, I like to also do a shout out of here, click here for a virtual tour so that they can go see the entire home. Get my keyboard right here. So notice over here on the right-hand side that everything is populating to the right. And then next I'm going to click on add media. Now I want to tell you that you could add as many photos as you like. What I've seen in the past, you guys, and also what's working right now, is don't add too many, okay? Because if you give them too many photos, what they're going to do is they're going to click through those photos and then they're going to move on. So again, we want the buyer to be enticed and the lead to be enticed to be able to click on this campaign, this ad. So what's been proven success is one exterior photo and one interior photo. At maximum 3 photos, just don't put the whole carousel, okay? What I've had personal success with is just one exterior front of the house photo, and make sure it's bright. Make sure it's not a dark photo. If you do have a dark photo, I highly suggest to pick a different one. Okay, so those are my tips. But as you can see here, it does pull in all the photos from the MLS, which I love. So I get to pick and choose. Now, what I've seen doesn't really work, you guys, is just one interior photo. Those seem to be lower performing ads. So just kind of giving you my personal experience here. Now, make sure you have your DBA logo loaded up, which is pretty simple. You could upload it here, and then you could also include your ownership statement for compliance reasons. And then you'll just simply click apply. And as you can see over to the right, it is displaying, which is awesome. All right, let's head down to Facebook ad. Can I just say real quick that I love this flow. It's so simple. And I'm sure if we were to time myself without me talking too much in between, you could probably put a campaign together within 5-10 minutes. All right, destination. Well, first you have to make sure that you're gonna pick your business page. So for those Facebook users out there that don't have a Facebook page, you absolutely need to have one in order to run a campaign. And then your call to action label here. Don't use sign up, don't use apply now, because would you sign up? Probably not. Let's just keep it real, right? So a more approachable way for somebody to click on this campaign is to to use learn more. So always use learn more, and your follow-up destination URL, just make sure it's very much the same of where you're sending them to, okay? So today we're focusing on this listing. What I love to do is I like to build a landing page in and curate that landing page in the consumer applet. If you know how to use a landing page, or if you aren't familiar with them, just know that you have all your resources right in front of you where this question mark is. So I'm not going to get too much into landing pages because we could talk about that all day long. But if you were to click on this question mark and then head to Keller Williams University, type in landing pages and they'll walk you through a simple flow of how to create one. So I can use any URL. Another quick tip here is to go to your agent site and then go search for this address and then pull that URL in here. So that's another quick way to pull URL in. And then here, add targeting. Okay, now I'm just gonna pause here for a second and just want to celebrate custom tags, okay? So custom tags and contacts, you guys, are the most amazing way to use for your benefit to retarget market your entire database right now by the use of custom tags. If you do not have your contacts custom tagged, I highly suggest to go back and do that, because you won't have that capability, what I'm about to show you. So target my database. I can go ahead and click on create new audience, name my audience, and then be able to go search for those custom tags that I want to pull. Now, I love this because I can pull everybody in my database. I could pull a certain group from my database. I could get really specific on who I'm retarget marketing. And then I just simply click create. So we'll just say, you know, I'll just go ahead and pull some custom tags here just to kind of show you what it looks like. So it captures them, and then I'll just hit create. And what it'll do, it's reading who those contacts are associated with these custom tags, and it's pulling it into this list. Now from here, next thing that you'll do.
Stop for 1 second there real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you go back because I want to point something out. Can you go back to add the custom targets again, create a new audience? One thing is
Yes.
you also have the ability to hit target by neighborhoods. And so what is really important about this is a lot of people always ask, hey, how do I get listing leads, right? Because I'm getting all these buyer leads, but I want listing leads. If you have a farm and you have your clients in your data in command and you have them set up by neighborhood, then when this ad is going out for the house you have for sale, it will then retarget all the people that are in that neighborhood as well too. So that they'll see that you have a house for sale, which we all know will help elicit getting potential listing leads too. So I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out.
Yes, thank you. So that is so important. Thanks, John. It's so cool. I mean, you guys, the world is your oyster in this. It's so amazing. And then you'll just select your database from what you're pulling from. And I just want to give you a little insight that sometimes it will tell you that your database is too small. I believe the minimum is about 100 people. So make sure that you have as many people in here as possible. Otherwise, the ad will not be optimized and it won't run correctly. So you'll get a little yellow error that will say, you know, your audience is too small. just make sure that you pay attention to that and add more people so that error goes away. Or rather, it's more like a warning. Okay, so we've talked about retargeting your audience, which is super sweet. And let's talk about targeting a custom audience, meaning the general public. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull in the little, pull in the city that this home is associated with. And then next, I'm going to click on add or change interest. Before I move on, I will show you that the radius is over here. I always do around 15 to 20 miles, nothing more. All right, so this is where the magic happens, you guys. And what I'd like to do here in this training is I'm going to share with you the list of interests that I use, particularly for every single campaign that I run. So you will get that list, so you don't feel like you have to take too many notes here. Make sure you have or selected, because that means your audience is going to be a lot bigger. If you have and selected, then you're really going to be minimizing who you're targeting. So you could come in here and search by alphabetically, or you could just come in here and type in who you would like to target. So people who are looking at homes in Zillow. I will list a couple of big players out there, and love them or hate them, you guys, that's where people are. Realtor.com. So I'm going to give you just like what it looks like, and then I'll send you that list here soon. So I'm going to add as many as I can, probably between like 10 to 15 interests. But just as an example, I wanted to pause and just show you, as you add interest, it's going to show you how large your audience is in your expert targeting window, which I love. So you'll see how big this audience is. So that's pretty amazing, right? And I think of it like this: the bigger the audience, and rather the bigger the pond, the higher the probability that I'm going to capture a fish, right? So the bigger the audience, the higher probability that you will capture leads. If you make your audience just by 1 or 2 interests, it may not be performing as well. And then I'll just save Facebook ad. It will bark at me to let me know what I haven't filled in. So we'll just fill in a landing page that I've created. I'll pull in my database and I'll say a Facebook ad. Now I love it because it collapses in and it makes everything so neat and pretty. Now duration and budget. I like to say everybody has a Starbucks budget, right, you guys? Like, how much money are you spending on those lattes out there? Okay, it's just being fun, right? So everybody has $25 in your pocket right now. And if you are spending $25 on those lattes, I highly suggest to maybe turn that $25 into this campaign, because
then you buy more lattes, right?
Yes, and then you could buy more lattes. The average commission here in Colorado is $10,000, so you could buy 10,000 lattes if you wanted. So cool. So my duration that I always use is just 10 days. And then my total campaign budget, I never really go over 30. I always just do 25 bucks. 25 bucks for 10 days, and then you're golden. So you'll save duration and budget, and then up here on the right-hand side, you'll simply click Publish Campaign. Now what happens next is that Facebook will go ahead and say that your campaign will show that it's pending. And that basically means that Facebook is making sure that your campaign looks good, that we're not discriminating, that we have all of our right content in, and then the next day it will be published. So just keep that there's 1 day for that pending status in mind, because what I like to do is I like to create my campaigns on Thursday, make sure that they're active on Friday, okay? So keep that in mind when you create your campaigns, and then it's magical. You have leads coming in, you have a Kelly notification on your phone, you have a command notification coming in, and then you have an email notification coming in. You cannot miss it. It says lead gen form coming in, okay? And I also want to give a shout out too that I don't know how much emphasis I put on here, you all, but use Facebook lead gen form. That is super, super, super important. If you use a site or landing page option here, you're going to get a ton of impressions, a ton of clicks, and 0 leads. What I want for you is a ton of leads, right? So always, 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 always. Can't emphasize that enough. Use that guy. And then it's magic. And then the rest comes in, like Donnie just taught how to route those leads in, and we're kind of putting it all together. And that is exactly how you create a campaign that's performing. I will upload those interests for you right away so that you can get started.
Awesome. Cool. So a couple questions that have come in before we move on to the next part. And so thanks for that, Leslie. It looks like under the chat, we have some questions that are being asked on, hey, do you have to have the person's Facebook information entered into their contact card in order for the targeting to work?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So in essence, Facebook goes by email address. And so as long as you have their email address and that email address is associated to their Facebook page, then you're going to be reaching them. What happens when you capture a lead is that information will get extracted from Facebook. So they'll have their name, their number, and their email address pulled from their Facebook page. And then all that information will get directly into your command.
Awesome. And so it looks like some of the other questions, it says, is it okay to advertise a listing that's not ours? I assume we have to ask for permission from the listing agent first to do so. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I highly suggest to partner up with any of your fellow Keller Williams agents and, ask them like, hey, I see that you have a listing. Would you mind if I borrowed it to help you capture leads and we could partner up on this? I see it all the time. So yes, absolutely ask for permission.
Yeah, and then it looks like Ken asked, hey, is mortgage a good target audience? So is that interest a really good one?
Yeah, I've seen some great success with Keller Mortgage ads, especially when the description is the Keller Mortgage pitch or, a description of Keller Mortgage is actually on a listing, and maybe it's a past listing, an under contract listing, or a new listing. And if you don't have any listings, then that's okay. There are a lot of great Keller Mortgage templates and designs that you could pull from. So if you were to go to the design library, go to social, and then head to the buyer section in that library, there are a lot of Keller Mortgage Facebook images that you could pull up and then pull right into your campaign as well.
Very cool. Got a good question from Wayne. He's asking, hey, if they use the Facebook contact form, are they physically filling in their info, or is Facebook extracting their info from their profile?
Yeah, so Facebook is extracting their information from their profile, which is magical.
Yeah, which I think that's part of the reason why you talked about it being much more receptive. And Facebook's actually done studies that show that the capture rates are much higher by using their form, because, hey, if I don't have to fill out that form and I can just click submit because the info is already done for me, I'm a lot more likely to click that button, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And then also too, I mean, we're all on Facebook and we see ads all the time. People don't like to leave Facebook. They like to stay on Facebook. And by not having to go to some strange person's site, I'm much more likely to fill the information out too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Another quick question from Layla regarding ads. What are some other successful Facebook campaigns besides just listing? I know you mentioned Keller Mortgage. Is there anything else that you guys have found that's been working really well?
We're going to start running some ads on Keller Covered. So, you guys, there's so much that we can give out there to the consumer. There's so much, right? So we have Keller Mortgage, we have Keller Covered, and, get really purposeful with your content, with your message. And I highly suggest to basically use the tips and tricks that I gave you today and just change the image and then change the content. It's super easy.
Yeah, I think one important thing to point out is, especially in the environment that we're in, everybody's looking to kind of tighten their budget a little bit more. And so if we're running ads on how they can save money through Keller Mortgage, if we're running ads on how they can save money through Keller Covered, which I know
That's
Keller
right.
Covered works because I did this just as a demo. I wasn't planning on changing my insurance. I just wanted to see how the process worked. So I filled out information on Keller Covered. They came back with a quote from my own insurance company that I was already using that saved me like $300 a year on my homeowner's insurance. So I kept basically the same exact coverage. Just going through this got me a $300 savings. So that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then think about your KW mobile app. You could build a whole campaign around promoting your app and tying it all together. So yeah, there's lots to do there.
Go ahead.
These are some awesome tips. And I just wanted to, Leslie just mentioned something. When you have like a successful ad and you want to run it again and just change a few items, whether it's updating an image, to the far right of each ad, one of my favorite features is using those three dots and hitting duplicate campaign. You can take away all of the work. It repeats and replicates that campaign. So you just have to make those minor adjustments. So we have a couple of listing agents here in the region that are seeing a lot of success around creating the campaign the first time, and they'll replicate it 2 other times to target into 3 different areas. So they're using the referrals applet to see where the referral patterns are coming from and retargeting based on where the most common people are moving from. So a lot of great strategies to make that happen fast.
Okay, couple last quick questions, because besides the chat, some people are actually using the Q&A stuff here. And so I think we talked about the people in the database do have to have a Facebook account connected in Command in order for that to work. And it's not necessarily that you have to have that Facebook URL or profile page. They just have to, whatever email address they signed up with in Facebook has to be matched to the email address inside a Command. Got an anonymous question. It says, you talked about using $25. It says, hey, have you seen greater results associated with a little bit higher spend in Facebook ads? We've been doing $10 for 10 days, wondering if $25 would be better.
Yeah, you know, I also think it's really dependent on where you're located and what your market is like. I've heard success stories of an agent spending $30 for 7 days, and she had amazing results. We didn't see that success here in Colorado. So I think it's just depending on where you are and where you're located. But I definitely think running your ad, and what I've seen so far here is at least 10 days has been very successful. My top performing ad was 10 days, $25, 56 leads, 43 cents a lead. And I'd be more than willing to share what that ad looked like as well. So if you guys want examples, just let us know. But I know that we are limited on time. So
yeah, we promise to get you out of here on time. And then one last question, and then we'll go into how you actually claim the lead. So the last question basically saying that they're using campaigns, awesome, right? And they're getting leads from campaigns, double awesome. The last part of it is the challenge has been kind of response conversion rate as far as that goes. And so obviously there's some follow-up plans that we can set up utilizing that. But I think what the question really was about, and I think there's going to be some good news for this particular person, is that they got scattered, depending on where we're routing the lead. Different agents, Rainmaker, they might all have different smart plans that they utilize, and there's not really something that's uniform that I can use for all my team. So I'll let you guys answer, give everybody the good news on what's coming in terms of being able to share smart plans. So what's that going to look like, Donnie and Leslie?
Donnie, do you want to go first?
I'm so excited about this. So I've been replicating smart plans from PDF documents and Word documents for months now, which I'm so thankful that we have at Keller Williams, a community and culture of sharing and giving back. And to go along with that, coming very soon, we will have the ability to take smart plans and actually publish them to a library where all Keller Williams associates will be able to download that into their personal library and start to leverage it right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so one of the things that I'm encouraging people to do right now is the Rainmakers should be creating as much of these smart plans as they can in their account, because then they're going to have the ability after this gets published, or for everybody to be able to go out and get those smart plans out to their agents that are on their team so that they can utilize those things. So definitely that's something that's coming. So really excited about that. Now, before we move on, one other thing I wanted to point out about Facebook that's really powerful is Leslie said to utilize 10 days, and I can't really stress the importance of at least hitting 7 to 10 days. And the reason is this: one of the main advantages that we have through Keller Williams and running these Facebook ads is that they've created this algorithm for us. So we're partnered with Facebook on this. So you're not going to get this anyplace else. And I've talked to the Facebook reps, and they say, if you run an ad inside a Command and you try to do it on your own or use a third party, no comparison in terms of the results you're going to get, because you have the power of the AI reading what 160,000 agents are utilizing in running these ads, because they consider our account one account. So we have information and data that the ad can, or that the AI can look at to see what's working for all our agents and what's not working, and be able to make recommendations on who should see the ad based on that. And then as your ad is running, it actually gets smarter, right? As the ad's running, because in the first 3 or 4 days, the AI is looking at who is looking at this ad, who's not looking at this ad, who is basically clicking on the ad, who's not clicking on the ad, who's leaving information, who's not leaving information. And then the ad is smart. And so it goes and it'll say, hey, let's look for patterns on who's responding to these ads and giving us leads, who's not. Now we're going to retarget and kind of source those ads to give to the people that, or we're going to show it to the people who are more like the ones that are responding, or we're going to stop showing it to the ones that are less likely to respond as well, based off of all the information that is gained. And so you don't have that option anyplace else. So that's just mind blowing to me, which is why we're getting leads so cheap, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's awesome because I just love that we have one place and one platform that everything talks. So like the use of custom tags and being able to retarget and market your people, that you could pull that list into campaigns. And then when you capture those leads, you guys, this is what I do. I go back and I custom tag those leads and I put them back into my database. And then I put them all on smart plans. And then I just restart the flow again. I retarget and market them in my next Facebook campaign. And it's just this succession of building all these leads in our pipeline. And it's just, we have all the right tools. It's just how to use them, right? So, yeah, I highly suggest to look into something like that as well.
Awesome. All right. So let's kind of show you guys, hey, the lead comes in, where does it go and what do I do with it? So we're going to get into now basically how your team claims leads. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So basically claiming a lead is what happens, as you can see on the screen here, is that the bell with the red dot there, the notification will come in that you got a lead, and then you'll, as Leslie had said, you'll also get the emails and the text messages through Kelly and things like that. So when you come in, you can go in and claim the lead by clicking the claim button. If the agent doesn't want this lead, because let's say, for example, hey, I want as many leads as I can get, but maybe I'm walking into church or a meeting with somebody else and I can't respond to it in the right amount of time, I can click pass, so that will then go back into the next route, as Donnie mentioned for you, to the next person that's supposed to get it. So this is the first way that you can basically claim a lead, is you get notified. One of the things is you have to, right now, you have to log into command. So I get notified, I log into command, I click the bell, I hit claim, or I click pass, and that's the first way that you guys can claim those leads, or that your team can claim the leads. Second way is that we have the new lead widget. If you guys haven't paid attention to this too much, just got added to our dashboards not too long ago. And this gives us the ability to then go in and have a widget, and we can place this wherever we want on our dashboard. We can put it at the top so that we see, hey, the new leads just came in really quickly, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And right at the top, when I log in, I can see all the new leads that came in. I can click claim on all the ones I need to, and I can click pass on all the other ones. In addition to that, which was really cool, is that maybe I only have one lead that has popped in. I claim that, but then I can also look down here and say, whoa, there's 56 leads available in the pool. What are these guys doing passing on all this stuff? So then I can go into the lead pool and I can claim a bunch of leads that nobody's claimed yet, if I want to as well too. That's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to log into command to show you guys how to claim from the lead pool as well. So let me share the screen for my command screen. And then we will go into that part of it. So let me get out of here real quick. Escape, there we go. So the command dashboard, I wanted to again show you guys, if you don't know, here's the recent leads that have come in, right? And then you can scroll and see all the different stuff that's here. Like I had told you guys, we can customize that. So if I click the customize home, if I want the lead notifications here to come in, I can do that. And that way I can see everything that's come in the most recently, so that I can be able to respond to that a little bit more quickly. And then I can also, if I want to drop and drag any of these things so I can see, hey, leads is most important to me. So I want both of these things to pop up right away. I can hit apply. Once that's done, then that will give me the ability to now see all the lead stuff that has popped up at the top here. Okay. And then as far as lead pool, this is where I wanted to show you guys there. We want to first make sure that we select our team at the top here if we haven't done so. So we're going to click Regional Tech Trainer Team. And then once we do that, we can go into contacts. And then what will happen here is you'll see this toggle that says lead pool. And when we want to basically toggle that, this is going to give us everything that is in the lead pool right now. So these are all unclaimed leads as far as that goes that have come in for our team. So we can go in and click one of the leads that has come in. And we're going to click on Jeff Spicoli here. All right. And then if we want to claim this lead, we're going to just click the claim contact. And then that allows me to claim an unclaimed lead that nobody's responded to at that point. If I made a mistake and I don't want that lead, I can click release claim, and then that will send that back to the lead pool so that goes back out to the lead pool. And hey, if everybody else has passed on these, I can go in and click on Al Pacino here. I can claim the contact, go to the next one, claim the contact, go to the next one, and I'm taking all these leads because you guys that are snoozing and not claiming leads, I'm gonna take them all there, right? And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is as a Rainmaker, I can go in here under the Rainmaker account, I can go to settings. And then when I go to settings, if I go into command settings, I can go into the lead routing spot. And this is where Donnie took you to set up the lead route. But one of the things I want to show you is this team stats. So if we click this team stats button, this allows us to see how many leads have been given to each person on our team, how many each person has claimed. And this is going to give me some insight, right? Because if a bunch of leads, so if 300 leads have gone to RTT agent and they've only claimed 2, there's potentially a conversation I have to have with RTT agent on what they're doing, right? In addition to that, if I see that not that many leads have been given to one person, maybe I need to go in and readjust my lead routes so that this person gets a little bit more leads as far as that goes as well too. And then this also, and that's on the claims, I can click routes. And what that's going to do is it's going to let me know each person on my team, how many routes those people are assigned to. And then if I click the drop down, I can see which routes they're assigned to and all the statistics on times, days, and what the claim action deadline is for those particular people. So I can see, for example, here, RTT Rainmaker has all 8 routes assigned to him. And then Paul down here, poor guy, actually Shannon only has 2 routes assigned to her. So I might need to add some more routes to Shannon so that she can get a little bit more of that business because she doesn't seem to be getting a lion's share of the stuff where my RTT agent has 17 routes assigned to them. So this will kind of give you a quick glance at who's on what and allow you to make some adjustments to your thing if you need to do so. So with that, we now can go back in and I want to, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back into the slides here real quick. We told you at the top of the hour here that we can't end the session without having a couple questions and ahas. You guys have put some amazing questions in to the chat box, but we'd also like to hear from you on some of the things that you learned here today, because obviously the goal here for Donnie and Leslie and myself and our regions is to make sure that we're providing good stuff for you guys so that you can learn how to utilize your tools and your system. So in the chat box, if you guys can type in a couple things that you learned here today, that would be awesome. And then we have about a minute for any other questions that you guys would like to ask. And then I'll turn it over right now to Donnie and Leslie, and you guys can basically kind of sum up everything that you guys would like to say about the session today as well too.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I just wanted to address a few questions that came through as we were talking about claiming leads as we're waiting for those ahas to come through the chat box. Lead routing and lead claiming are only going to be for teams, if you were an agent on a team or within a group.
Mhm.
So those two sections of today's course. However, for single agents out there, everything that Leslie showed you, all that magic for leads, what that means as a single agent is all leads are automatically going to be routed back to you. So that is 100% something that every associate in Keller Williams is going to be able to do. As a single agent, you don't have to worry about the beginning or the end of today's training until you're joining a team or growing a team organization, but definitely hone in on that Facebook ads.
Awesome. And it says, one of the last ones here says, do you see the ad results and performance in Facebook Business Manager as well as in Command? So I'll let you guys take that one too.
Yeah, so another really nice thing about just being connected is that you could find actually all of your leads in Facebook as well. If you were to head to your business Facebook page, go to the lead routing, lead forms library, and all your leads will be actually there. Their phone numbers or names, and then you can actually see the amount of leads that you have, as well as the amount of leads that you have per ad. So you will also have that accessibility on the Facebook side.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And then one last quick question, and then we'll go into the last slide and get you guys out of here because we're 1 minute over and we promised to get you out on time, is any insights from anybody on putting ads out there when you're trying to recruit for talent? Have you guys seen that or had any info on that from anybody that you've worked with?
Yeah, definitely. So I've actually had a couple successful recruiting ads, and it's all about like providing value and coming from a place of contribution. So we really focused on putting a campaign together around the tech consult, and putting verbiage around come and receive a free tech consultation, get to know how you can minimize your costs for your business, but also generate leads for as low as $1. Verbiage like that was pretty successful, and then we linked it to a Google form where the lead would also fill out the questionnaire of who they are, where they're from, how many units they sell per year, etc. And so that was pretty successful. And we also retarget with the use of custom tags for our recruiting list for our region. And we've also had some repeat appointments from that. So I can't not stress enough to you guys the importance of and the powerful tool that you all have in front of you by the use of retargeting your database. And I know somebody in the chat box had asked about that, if maybe they were a little fuzzy. Here's the thing. When we say retarget your database, this is what this means. This means when I'm on my phone scrolling through Facebook and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Sally, there's my friend Megan. And I'm like, oh, there's an ad from my real estate agent. Looks like they're selling a home. That means that they have retargeted me. And now you're basically as an agent in front of your clients every single time you create an ad. So think of it as word of mouth marketing, but also keeping you in top of their mind anytime that they're on Facebook. So it's so powerful because we never know when the customer is ready to purchase a home. We know that there is about a 3 to 7 year journey. And so that kind of keeps you hip to hip with them and in front of them, even on their social media channels. So super powerful stuff. And I always say, like, do both. Target your database and target the general public. Like I said, the bigger the pond, the higher the probability you'll catch a fish.
Well, it's kind of like a commercial, right? Because I'm trying to get new business, but at the same time, I'm trying to let other people know, or the people that are already using my product, for example, know that, hey, I'm still here, I'm still in business, and you should be thinking about me next time that you want to do real estate, right? All right, so we're going to leave you with a little bit of homework, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Some next steps. If you haven't already done so, make sure that you create a lead route for your Facebook leads, right? And then as we get more of the functionality with some of the other sources that was mentioned later, Donnie again and Leslie will make sure that we let you know, hey, these things are live, ready for you to go. You can put all your lead sources in and get off that follow-up boss, right? And then make sure that you create that Facebook campaign to funnel leads to your route. One other thing that I would make sure that you probably would throw in there too is create the lead route create the smart plan that you want to use, because, hey, if we get 100 leads because we learned what Leslie taught us today, we want to make sure that we can follow up with these people in a timely manner, rather than say, oh my gosh, I got 100 leads. What do I do with this stuff? We don't want you to waste your money. So make sure you have your lead route set up, you have your smart plan set up, run your Facebook ad, and then just watch the leads start pouring in, and you guys start closing more business. So that's all I got. Donnie, Leslie, you got anything else you want to add before we head out?
I don't. I just want to say thank you both. Thanks, John, for setting this up, and Leslie for joining us. I've had a lot of fun this morning.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I did too.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for attending. And if you guys got some value out of this, make sure you tell all your friends that they missed out. They should have came to the session. And next time we have one, they need to be here as well too. Thank you guys.